Hello guys and welcome to this course. First of all, I must say a big thank you for already being here. I've been using Premiere Pro for 14 years and I recently decided to switch to DaVinci. I know it may sound a little bit crazy, but I don't regret it, and honestly, between you and me, I should have done it earlier. I've been using DaVinci for a few months now and I didn't want to start this course without having a full knowledge of the capabilities of this software. It took me some time in the beginning, but I've created this course with a structured plan for you to be learning and using it as quickly as possible. My name is Alex, as I told you before, and I've been working as a filmmaker for more than a decade now. I've made commercials, short films, and been really busy the past years with online content as well. Now I know you're excited to learn this course and to go as quickly as possible through all the lectures, so I won't be delaying this talking too much. I just wanted to tell you how I structured the course so that you had a better understanding of how we were going to work. First, I will guide you step by step on how to download the free DaVinci, install it, and how to organize your first project, as this will be key to being efficient in the future. I also tell you how the interface works, explain to you all buttons, settings, shortcuts, and all the tools that are important. We will be doing this amazing supercars video together. You'll be able to see all my steps. I'll teach you the effects, speed ramps, and much more. We'll also be talking about the forgotten part of filmmaking, the soundtrack. How important it is. You'll see how to edit sound, play it to the beat, and make it an overall awesome project. Finally, and before exporting and uploading our final video, I'll of course teach you how to color correct and then color grade your footage to take a shot like this and make it like this. You can download a PDF file in the next lecture with all the links that I'm going to be talking about throughout the course. Make sure to download it, and nothing real else to say, guys. It's time, the time has come, let's go. Welcome to this section. I'm gonna be as fast as I can because this is pretty easy and straightforward, but just in case some of you don't know where to get the software and how to install it, I'm here to solve this. So let's go and download our free software first, and it doesn't really matter if you use Windows, Mac, or Linux because this program works for all three of them. And we will be downloading the software from the official Blackmagic Design website, and remember, you have the link to this specific website in the PDF file that you just downloaded. If you didn't download it yet, just do it now, or just write DaVinci Resolve into Google and the first option is the right one. But please use the PDF file, it will be much easier. So yeah, we're gonna be hitting free download now, pretty straightforward and easy. And this is gonna be the free version. This is gonna be the paid version named Studio. The big difference is there are some advanced effects and transitions that are not available on DaVinci Resolve 18. And for example, you can export at 32K. Yes, you heard that well, 32K and the studio version. But I mean, there is no really any watermark in your final video or any slower exporting or anything at all that should stop you from getting the free version. I mean, I'm a filmmaker myself, and for all my paid jobs I'm doing recently, I have never needed to use the studio version. So you're pretty safe to download this. The only thing you gotta know here is whether you are Mac, Windows, or Linux. If you hit on Windows, this will show up. You just fill in some of the information. It doesn't really need to be the right one. I mean, you can come up with anything you want. Just make sure that the email is right, just in case. Hit register and download down here, and the download will start immediately. There's no catch. There is no problem. Don't worry. Open it, install it. It's the classic next button installation, so there isn't any problem. It's safe. It's from the official Blackmagic Design website, so there can't be any viruses or anything, so don't worry about that. Just install it, and once we have it downloaded, installed, yes, we're now ready to open it up and start learning how to use it. Let's go. Well, let's open up DaVinci, and this is actually what we're gonna see. I think every time there's another like thumbnail. And this is the first window that we'll see once we open DaVinci, okay? This is the project manager. Now let me tell you this because this is one of the my most important tips throughout the whole course. Try to be as organized as you can right from the beginning. I'm not an organized person, I'm more of a chaotic person, but when I work, I really put some time in organizing the projects because once you start doing more and more projects, importing more and more files and from here and there, it all tends to become a big mess. If you don't have it under control right from the beginning, it's gonna be tough, trust me. And you'll hear me saying this a bunch more times in this course, so organize your projects right now and from the beginning. As I was saying, once we open DaVinci, we'll have this window. The local database tab is it's going to be like a big library for us. We can create all our projects inside this database. So every time we'll open DaVinci, we'll be able to select the project we want to work on. Right now, I don't have any other projects here because I just deleted everything to have it clean. But if we start editing a car video, it will appear here, and then another one, and then another one. And another tip is I may create different databases. For example, if I'm creating this course for Udemy, I would say Udemy course and create it right here. For example, I select the directory, right here is fine. I would start editing all my Udemy course videos right here, so I have them organized. They can be as well on the local database. It doesn't really matter, just organize yourself the way it is easier for you. And you can still go and be more organized. For example, inside the Udemy course, let's say I have 4, 5, 6 sections of the course. So I'd say section 1, and I have a folder. Then I create section 2 and so on, so that it's much easier for me now to access, once I open DaVinci, the different videos that I'm editing, because all the videos from the intro and the welcome would be here in section 1, and so on and so on. And just to make it clear, in case you're new to this, these are projects. These are not videos or timelines or sequences. It's just like an opening folder that will later be opened up inside DaVinci. So it's like a database or a library where you're gonna be putting everything inside, like videos, music, titles, and everything. And once we're here, there are 2 ways that we can actually start our first project. Either we get this untitled project, which by hitting open or double clicking, it would open directly a new project, or we can right click right here, new project, and name it, for example, Ferrari and Lambo. Okay, we create this and it starts opening up, and here we go. Now let's talk about the software and the project settings. Yeah, first of all, and before starting our edits, let's optimize the software and make everything easier and more efficient. Of course, the first thing is, let me show you where you can change the language. Just if you don't feel comfortable at all with the English language, for example, we hit on DaVinci Resolve, Preferences, User, and Language. I know there are not too many languages right now, but we're gonna leave it for in English just at default, okay? My recommendation right here is, even if you're not too comfortable with English, just wait until we finish the whole course, because I'm gonna be talking about all the different tabs and tools in English, so you may want to learn them just in English, and then after that you may switch to Spanish, German, or whatever you want to do. And then another tip and another hint is that whenever you are editing and you have an unresolved question where you really don't know how to keep going, it's much easier to look up what's happening in English in Google rather than in any other language. So let me get back for a sec to preferences again, because here we do have a few things that can be interesting once you start using the software. We have, for example, the memory and GPU, just, you know, all the system memory that your computer is gonna put into using the software. We have media storage, where you want the folder to be exporting the videos that you actually export. We have a few other options that for now are not too important, but you know, it's nice that you know where they are, just in case one day you need to change a few of them. Okay, so let's save it. And this is very important that these are the software settings, not the project settings, not the video, not the timeline settings, just the software. This will be applied every single time you enter and open up DaVinci. If we want to talk about the project settings, you see this little wheel at the bottom right here. When we click this, we get to our master settings into the current project. This is very important. Here we can change our resolution, we can change the timeline frame rate, we can change the video format of the monitor, we can do many things. And don't worry for now if you don't understand all of it, these strange words like timeline, time sequence, and all that, because DaVinci is here to make our lives easier. So am I. The DaVinci software will adapt the settings of a timeline to the videos that you're actually importing and the ones that you're editing. So it's gonna be very easy. Once we import our videos and we drag them down to this part, which is the timeline, the software will adapt automatically the timeline settings to the settings that your video has, so that there aren't any problems. Before editing, let me quickly talk about the 7 different panels or programs or tools that DaVinci has inside of it, because to navigate from one to another, we can click down at the bottom to any of these programs. I'm talking about this 7 right here. Media. This is going to be a nice overview from everything that we are importing inside the program. We have Cut, which is going to be a nice tool if you want to edit very quickly some videos. Edit, which is the one that we're going to be using mostly in this course and basically in this course, because this is the one where the magic happens, right? Where we're going to be doing everything. Fusion is more advanced. It's like an After Effects inside DaVinci. We're not going to be talking about this too much because, as I'm saying, this is super advanced and I would need 3 more courses to explain this. Color, probably the most powerful tool inside DaVinci, and the reason why so many people are switching, like myself, to DaVinci these days, because I know it may look a little bit complicated if you're seeing this for the first time, but trust me, you can do pure magic with this tab right here. Finally, we have Fairlight, where we can edit some of our audio and music, which is this is entirely dedicated to music. And the last one is Deliver. This is the tab where we're going to be doing all our exports and the last tweaks in order to have the right format and size and resolutions for our final video. So now let's talk finally about the interface and the different modules that we're going to be using in order to learn to be a great editor. Let me quickly show you the interface before we import our shots and start editing, because this is very important. Now, it may not look exactly the same way as my screen right now. It doesn't really matter. It's because I have opened a few of these tabs and closed them, so I don't really remember how it was by default. But don't worry, because we're going to go through every single one of them. And as I'm saying, this is very important. So let's go from left to right. I think it may have looked something close to this, right? Let's start, as I'm saying, from left to right. This is how your interface will look once you import the shots, but I thought it would be interesting to know them first. So the left part is all going to be about our libraries, the original shots, and pretty much any file we want to import and to edit. Those are also the files, for example, straight out of your camera, or raw audio files, sound effects, and all that. I'll show you later how to have a clean workflow. We have different tools here to preview our files in different ways. So for example, if we import something, if for example I have 3 shots imported, once we learn how to import the files, we have different tools here. For example, we can make the thumbnail smaller and then bigger. We can use, instead of thumbnails, also a list. We can also look up for specific videos. We can organize and sort them by name, by whatever. So this is very interesting, and I honestly, from now on, all the tools, everything that I'm going to show you, it would be nice that you take some time and spend it and go through all of this to have a nice idea, to have a great feeling, because this is the only way that you're going to be more efficient in the future. I'm going to be talking about this tab right here once we import all of our footage. Don't worry, in the next lecture. For now, all I wanted to show you are the different parts. This is going to be our timeline. This is where all the magic happens, all the cuts, all the effects, everything will be happening right here. And this would be like your desk where you're actually working and doing everything, right? And this will also be the part where all the files that we will be importing are going to be connected and together. And yeah, I think you get the point, right? And this, once we start editing everything, this will also be the final video that we're going to be exporting. So remember the timeline. Now, a very important tool that you're going to be using every single time you edit here is the inspector. Top right corner, you click the inspector. This is going to be very important, and I'm going to be showing you this more in detail later, but this is going to be your best friend forever, your BFF. Here we'll have all the tools we need to zoom in, to position, to crop, to change the speed, to stabilize, to do pretty much everything we want to do on our footage. Plus, every single time we put an effect or something onto our clip, we'll be able to see everything as well on top here. Like you can see effects once we apply it, this tab will be open, and the same goes for the transmission and all that. So make sure to always have your inspector open. And finally, to preview everything we're doing, we have this screen right here, this big screen. It will be our preview screen. We'll show we'll see how everything edited looks in a sequence, and we'll be able to adjust everything frame by frame very easily, because as you can see, this will be just a preview of what's happening on the timeline. And before I forget it, to those of you using 2 screens, which I highly recommend, of course, I've been working on 2 screens my whole life pretty much, you can go to workspace right here on top, and you see dual screen and hit on. This way, okay, let me quickly show you. Right now you're only seeing 1 screen, of course, but you see everything changed, and you're not seeing this, but on my right screen right now I have all my library, I have another preview, I have many things that I can organize, and I recommend you highly that you start putting and moving everything the way you feel most comfortable. Because with 2 screens, the good thing is that I have everything on my left screen just dedicated to the edit, and I don't have to be, you know, having some libraries right here, effects, panels, and all that. So just a small tip, right? I'm gonna turn this off so that we have back everything on 1 screen, because of course this course is gonna be recorded in 1 screen. Now let me quickly reset everything and let's go to import our first files. Crazy, all mixed up, music, songs, sound effect, and the videos. By the way, there's another way to import, just in case. Right click, import media, as you can see, Ctrl+I. So these are the 2 ways to import our footage. So as I'm saying, by doing this, we just imported all of our footage in this bin, which is named the master. But let me insist again, organization is key. So what we're going to do is create a few different bins so that we have our audio, our Sony camera shots, and the sound effects, and the music, of course, separated, so that eventually it will be so much more efficient and easier to find what we're looking for, and we won't be losing time. So for this purpose, we go into our media panel, media pool, just in case it's not open, remember, media pool, and we're gonna create, right click here and hit new bin. You can also do this by Ctrl+Shift+N or Command+Shift+N on a Mac. And we're gonna name this, I don't know, for example, Sony, because it's these car shots were taken with my Sony. So I know that the Sony will be, I'm gonna be selecting all my Sony clips, okay, down until here by holding Shift, first and the last one, and I'm gonna drag it easily into the Sony folder, okay? I'm gonna create another bin for my sound effects, so I know this sound effects are gonna be dragged into the SFX, or here it's the same actually. And finally, I'm going to create another bin, which is going to be the music or the songs, and I'm going to select all the missing ones. By holding Control, I can select the ones that are missing and import them into music. And voila! When I go into the master now, I have everything well separated. So if I just want to go to, you know, another clip that I shot of the cars, I go into here. Or if I want to, you know, look for a sound effect like a turbo engine or something, I go here, and the music here. Look how organized everything is now and how easy it is to find all the shots. I know that you don't understand the importance of this right now, but eventually, someday, you will be thanking me for this, trust me. So the next step is creating our timeline, because our timeline right now is empty, right? So here also, we have a few ways to create our timeline. We can either right click here and, as you can see, timeline, create a new timeline, or Ctrl+N, Command+N on a Mac. So once we create it, we can leave it like timeline name, we can leave it like this, and hit, oh, before we hit create, use project settings. If we uncheck this use project settings, we'll be able to get into this window, format. And here, for example, as we know we are editing in 4K, we can click here and go to this 3840 x 2160 Ultra HD, which is the 4K resolution that we're going to be editing in today, because all my shots are in 4K. The timeline frame rate, as I shot everything in 24 FPS, we're going to leave it at 24, and this would be safe to hit create. But as I told you in the previous lecture, there's also another way to create a timeline, which is automatically the settings of our clips. Now, very, very important here, when we click on one of our clips, in case we want to know, hey, what is actually the resolution of this clip, what kind of frame rate does it have, we go into the inspector, we go into the file tab, and here it goes. We have the resolution, which is the 4K we just mentioned, the frame rate, careful here because it is 120 FPS. I'm going to be talking about FPS later, don't worry. which is not the frame rate that we're gonna be editing in. And I'll tell you later why. For now, we're gonna be looking for a clip, hold on, that has 24 FPS, like this one, for example. As you can see, 24 FPS. And just by clicking and dragging it down to our timeline, it creates our first timeline. And inside our media pool, here you go, timeline 1, we created automatically a new timeline. You can see it's a timeline because this icon is the icon of a timeline, not like the videos that have this different icons. And now, just to double check, we go to the right bottom corner to the project settings, and we'll see that the settings and the project is again at 4K because it was created automatically. Just double check it just in case. Okay, but let me cancel this very quick, go to the beginning, and let me quickly explain what FPS, frame rates, and all this timelines without making it too complicated is. So, quickly explained, FPS or frames per second means how many frames or photos are in 1 second of your video. For example, let's do it this way. This would be a video that you probably have already seen, and it is shot at 119.888, which is 120 frames per second. This means that for every second that we will be watching this video, inside every second we're gonna have 120 frames or photos that, of course, our human eye will just interpret as a video. Usually video, film, movies, cinema is shot at 24 FPS traditionally. Okay, so I'm gonna look, for example, this shot is shot at 24 FPS. So this means that if you shoot at 24 FPS, like for example, this video, your video will have 24 frames each second. Simple, right? Slow motion generally is shot at 60 or 120 FPS. This is the reason why I shot this in 120 FPS, because I knew I was gonna play with speed ramps and slow it down in post, so I shot it at 120 FPS, as you can see right here. But usually, this is also more advanced, but usually all your shots and all your video should be shot in 24, 25 or 30 FPS, because this is what is most natural to our human eye, which brings most motion blur and looks just better into our human eye. Now that said, usually what you want to do is having a timeline that has the same frame rate as the frame rate that you shot with your camera. So for example, if you shot with a Sony mirrorless or whatever DSLR camera in 24 FPS, then you should have your timeline in 24 FPS. This goes the same way if you're shooting, for example, 4K 60 on your iPhone. You want probably to have your timeline in 4K 60. And if you're shooting in 4K 30, then do it in 4K 30. I am creating a 24 FPS timeline again because not most of the shots, but many shots I shot in 24 FPS, and I want that natural look. And all the clips in 120, I will be slowing them down. You cannot slow down 24 FPS, and I'm gonna show you this also later. One more thing, I forgot previously to create a new bin for timelines. Oh, make sure that you do not create the bin inside the Sony, for example, in this case. Bin, just go into master and here hit new bin and put timeline, because right now the timeline, I think it just was created here inside the Sony, and I don't want to have it just in case I need to, for whatever reason, look for it later. Okay, so I have another bin with my timeline. Now, before I forget and before we start editing, we have other bins right here, smart bins. And also, if you go to view, show power bins. Power bins are gonna be super interesting, so make sure to check that on the view side, on the view tab, okay? Because power bins right now I do not. Oh yes, I did this from some previous projects. So the power bins are very interesting because you can upload right here some sound effects or some other files that are going to be opened up, and they're going to be there for every single project that you're going to be working on. This means that this will allow you to share that media between different projects, and it's going to be always there, because before in Premiere, every single time I had to import, for example, the logo of my YouTube channel, I had to import it every single time and drag it and all that. And right now I have this power bins, which I know that every single time that I'm going to be editing inside DaVinci, they're going to be there. No need to import them again, which is really helpful, you know. And the smart bins, they're a little bit more advanced. I don't really want to talk about them, but maybe in the future, in some other future course. This is very good and very powerful, because once you have, you know, tons of projects, hundreds of shots and everything, you can, by keywords and by metadata, create, for example, a folder where I want to have all my close-ups, and all my close-ups will be in a close-up folder. Or, for example, all the shots that have some blue in it, and then all the shots with some blue in them will be organized in one folder. This is pretty helpful. I just wanted to let you know how they work. So getting back to our timeline, we already have it created. And remember, if we just want to double check the settings, right bottom, wheel, here are all the settings. Okay, now before continuing, let's do something very important, which is saving our project. As for now, it's still called Untitled Project, as you can see. File, Save Project, Control S or Command S. Now DaVinci saves from time to time everything that is happening on your project, but you know, those people like me coming from Premiere and all the crashes that happened always there and made us lose so much work we did. Just make sure to save from time to time, just in case, okay? And now, dear students, yes, it's finally time to start editing, so let's go.